Hey friends, Tux here. Every now and then I like to do a medical video, and I've gotten a lot of response from everything from like ear cleaning kits to all sorts of other little medical things. And this one's a little more of a serious one because this is actually a prescribed medicine. I want to talk a little bit about Wagovy today, and these are just tips that I have from using Wagovy myself. I wanted to share with you guys. If you're a new user or thinking about trying to get a prescription for Wagovy, maybe this will help someone out there. And these are some things which are not covered in some of the other videos I've seen, but these are some of the more useful tips that personally I wish I had heard earlier. First thing is, if you are prescribed, Wagovy, definitely get it through a normal source like CVS or Walgreens or a big pharmacy. Don't trust online places, although some of them are legit. A lot of them you might be getting weakened versions or completely fake versions of Wagovy or any of those other similar type prescriptions. As far as storing it goes, you definitely want to keep it refrigerated. It can stay at room temperature for 28 days, okay? Which is basically the month, which is the 4, shots of Wagovy essentially in the pack. They come as a kit, like a monthly kit or a 4-week kit. So you can really keep it in your normal, regular room temperature, but most people really recommend keeping it in the refrigerator. You don't want to freeze it though. Freezing it will destroy it, okay? I'll make it non-functional. So you want to keep it cold, but not frozen, okay? And if your fridge is like mine, there's probably a little moisture in there and that kind of thing. So I definitely recommend keeping it in like a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag. And I actually just keep mine in the CVS bag where I got it from. Let me go ahead and open this up and show you kind of what this is like a little bit. So in here, I have the paper bag, and that kind of lets me know that there's no moisture. It's like nice paper, just the way it should be. Let me go ahead and pull this out here for you. There we go. Now, for me, probably the two main things which I was worried about with this particular medicine, and no matter why you're getting this, like for me, actually, my cardiovascular doctor recommended it, and it has all sorts of good health benefits if your insurance will cover it. It's definitely A, hard to come by, and B, it can be really expensive if you're not insured, and if your insurance isn't covering it for you. And there's a number of reasons why insurance companies may or may not cover it, but that's something to consider when trying to get this prescription, is that, you want to make sure your insurance covers it. So you may want to actually try and, check with your insurance company first before even pursuing this course, but my doctor checked in. Basically, there was like, okay, it's covered. So my doctor's like, yeah, like that would be really good, from a cardiovascular sense. And basically, they start you on 0.25, okay? And then from there, they'll move you up every 4 weeks. There's like another kit. Some people recommend staying at a lower kit longer, and then, going from like 2.25 to 0.25 to 0.25, and then maybe eventually moving up to like 0.5 the next step. For me, I'm just going with the actual plan of it, so I'm going up to 0.5 next, and then so on, just making the proper increments. I don't necessarily at this point plan on staying at a lower dose. Sometimes people do that because they do have side effects, and that brings me to my first concern would be, is there going to be side effects? In my particular case, I'm not allergic to anything, and I had 0 side effects. It was all very positive, not just from like a weight loss perspective, but actually I feel really healthy. I think it's helping some other issues. And so I really do recommend it. If you are going to have side effects, sometimes lower doses are better. And that's another reason why sometimes people will stay at a lower dose longer, because of the potential for side effects. So if you're someone who is allergic to a lot of things, it may not be for you necessarily, but that's something you can talk to your doctor about, really. It's different for everyone. There's no one right answer for anyone, whether they should, consider trying it or not try it. And there's also no one good answer as far as, will the doctor actually, prescribe it to you, and will your insurance cover it, so that's something else. But for me, there was no side effects, so that was a good sign for me. And then the second one is a little silly, but I'll tell you, my biggest problem with thinking about, should I try this medicine, wasn't the side effects, although that was definitely a concern. The biggest concern for me was I have this like fear of needles, okay? This is a little personal story here. Like, I've always disliked needles, like shots. And the thought of giving yourself a shot, and potentially you can do it in 4 different places, like the arm, the thigh, and the stomach, and either side. And the thought of giving yourself a shot in the stomach really scares the hell out of me, okay? I'll be honest, guys. So when I got this, it's like, geez, am I going to do it on like my thigh or my arm, or whatever. And I was reading, and a lot of people say actually the stomach is the most effective way of doing it, kind of shoot it in your belly, if you will. So I thought, okay, well, I'll try it. I've noticed if you did get the COVID vaccine, like maybe you noticed that the needle they used for that was a very teeny needle, and you really didn't feel it like maybe some other shots you got at the doctor's office, And this needle, although hidden here in the pen, is very small. It's very similar, and at least so far, knock on wood, I have not felt it actually. So out of the 3 injections I've done the first 3 weeks, I did not feel any of those 3. They were all good. And then on one of the 3, I did have like a droplet of blood, but very, very little, It's just like the teeniest little mark. You can see, okay, that's where the needle went in, On the first 2 weeks, honestly, you inject it, you see the little yellow line go down, and then it's in, you count to 10. I count to 15, actually, just to make sure I'm not wasting any of it, because it's expensive, and then I go ahead and just move the pen out of the way and, disregard it. So it's the type of thing where, you do want to make sure that you don't move the pen as you're injecting it, because I was really fearful that I was going to stick it in my stomach and then I was going to jerk, because it'd be like, ouch. And then I'd waste it or something. So luckily so far that has not come true. So actually I'm not 100% there, but I'll tell you, the very first time I did this in my stomach, I was thinking it was like a trust fall. It was like, leaning backwards and thinking, okay, someone's going to catch me. I got to trust the program, essentially, that someone's going to catch me. I'm not going to fall and, crack my back or something, And I was happily surprised that it wasn't that bad. It didn't really hurt, And as each time I've done it now, I feel a little bit more secure about doing it, but I still, even just talking about it right now actually gives me a little bit of anxiety that, oh God, is this going to be the one that hurts or something? But so far, 3 tries so far and no hurt, so that was really good. Now, right now, Wagovy is very high demand, okay? So it can be difficult getting it. So because it is a program where every week, essentially, you take 1 shot, it's the type of thing where you might want to order in advance. In fact, I recommend talking to your doctor, and sometime around week 2 or maybe 3, go ahead and order at least 1 week in advance, because you don't want to get to the point where all of a sudden you have a hard time getting it. And that could easily happen. And you don't want to be like, oh geez, I'm out now and I can't get it for 2 more weeks or something, so you don't want to have that happen. So I'd recommend getting it at least 1 week in advance, maybe 2 weeks in advance, just to make sure. Store it in the fridge, in a baggie, a Ziploc, and it'll be there waiting for you. Right now I have the 0.5 in the fridge waiting for me. So very simple, okay? Let me show you this real quick. Now, I've been saving the old pens. So in here, there's actually the first 3 pens, which are used. That's the ones here with the black magic marker. I put little X's on them, okay? So you can see when you have a new one, it's clear. You can see inside there the clear liquid. Okay, so that means it's good. You want to look at it, make sure it's clear. There's no weird artifacts or anything strange floating around in there. And it looks good. So this is my 4th good pen, okay? And then these 3 here are the ones that I've used in previous weeks. Now, when you use them, you can see the yellow line. So that basically means that as you stick it in, and you pull off the cap, you push it down, and you'll see the yellow line just go and kind of go down, and that means it's going into you, okay? So you want to make sure you don't move the pen a lot during that time, because obviously you don't want to lose the, fairly expensive prescription, So anyway, that's the deal on that. And then the instructions really show you everything you need to know. There's 2 different, a disclaimers and instructions, and it talks about prepping. Basically, you go ahead and prepare the site, you wipe it down where you think you're gonna, clean your hands first, I guess, and then kind of wipe down with the alcohol pad where you plan on injecting once you have your injection site picked. And that could be upper arms, stomach, upper legs, decide where you're gonna stick it, then remove the cap, just pull it straight down, and then you go ahead and push it down, and it's like that trust fall. You'll hear a click, and I'll be honest, I don't always hear the clicks, okay? People talk about, click 1 is where the injection starts, click 2 is while the bar is moving, and then once the bar is stopped, then you can lift the pen slowly, For me, sometimes I'll hear 1 click at the start, but I don't always hear that second click, So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Just watch for the yellow bar, and once the yellow bar is all the way down, then it's good, and then count to 10 seconds, or, I wait till 15, just play it safe, and then you can throw away the pen, So that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and do my 4th injection now, week 4. And I'm not going to do this on camera. Some people do that. I think it's kind of personal, kind of like my fear of needles. I'm not real big into showing that or whatever. I don't want to scream like a schoolgirl or something. But I'll wrap up the video right after I do this shot, and we'll see how this one goes. All right, piece of cake. Number 4 was the same as the other 3. No pain. This time there was no blood droplet or anything. It was really easy to inject, and it was not painful at all. It was actually getting better and better for me. I think probably as I get closer to like the end of pack 2, maybe I'll just be grabbing it and jabbing myself without even thinking about it. But I'd say it does get better. I didn't hear the clicks this time. Maybe I was just listening for it, you know. And one thing I didn't mention before, after it's done, I will put the cap back in just like that. So when you get it, all you do is just remove the cap and then you push down firmly, you know. But there's lots of videos on that, and the instructions cover it really well. But anyway, so that's the deal on that. I do recommend sterile pads. This is what I use from Amazon. I will have a link for these in Amazon for you down below in the description, so you can check them out. It's a nice little pack, the good little sterile pads. It's everything you need. This will last forever, essentially, you know. But anyway, that's all I have for you for this video, guys. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. And this is something I've been experimenting with for the last month, and I'm really glad I started it too. You know, I never have used any kind of prescription like this before because of my fear of needles, if nothing else. But it's been really worth it. You know, it's been a really good experience for me, and it can be a really good experience for you as well. Okay, I may make some more videos on this as I go through different weeks, or maybe like a monthly video or something. But this would be, you know, week number 4. And this is, I guess, completed pack number 1, box 1. So box 1 in the books, complete, no pain, and definitely improvements in my health. So I'd recommend it. I feel pretty healthy as a whole, but on this I feel even healthier, you know. And I believe especially all those positive cardiovascular effects on my body, I think it's really good. So anyway, guys, I'd recommend checking it out. Okay, if you think you're in the market for something like this for whatever reason the doctor may prescribe it, I'd say it is a thumbs up for me. Okay. All right, friends. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.